Hey, and welcome back to another episode where Daniela and myself, Richu Bra, we go over some Q&A that you guys have sent through. So, Daniela, welcome again. How are you today?
Hello.
This
Thank
morning?
you for having me again. I'm good. Yeah, it's early morning here, 9 a.m. Well, it's not too early, it's 9 a.m. But I'm good, feeling great. A little bit cold. The weather here, it's like changing every single day. But I'm good. How are you feeling?
I'm really good, thank you. The weather again is changing constantly. We've had really cold. Currently it's cold, and I think next week we actually go warmer again, oddly. So the weather is all over the place.
Mm.
And it sounds like it for you because you're going into summer.
Yeah.
We are like full blown first month of winter. I mean, the weather is sitting at the right level it should do for winter right now, but it's going back up next week. We want
Yeah,
snow. We want snow.
it's crazy, right? It's
Yeah.
crazy. It
Yeah.
changes. It's so bipolar. It just changes every day. Literally every single day, every week changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, today we're going to be doing a Q&A. We have a few questions here that you guys ask us on Instagram. There's quite a mix of everything. And I love when you guys ask those questions because remember, the more you ask, the more you're going to learn. If you don't know something, ask. We only know what we know. And if you want to learn more about this topic or if you want to improve your fitness, ask those questions. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to go first because I've got quite a few questions here.
Wicked.
So someone asked, I usually fast all day on the day I'm having my cheat meal. Is this a good idea? Great question.
Okay. So firstly, I'm gonna start with breaking down cheating. Okay. Because I feel like cheating is such a broad word to use when it comes to like, your nutrition, your lifestyle, your diet, or whatever. And I think the word cheat, quite often people take it very loosely and they think that they can just have whatever they want, and everything's going to be fine and they'll just jump on board the next day. If you are, for example, working on a fat loss, weight loss goal or toning goal, you are going to have to think about being in a deficit of some sort. Now, if you start cheating and you have this cheat meal and it's once a week or it's once, I don't know, when you feel like it and you just decide to cheat on your diet, you're actually cheating on the fact that you should be in a deficit. You're taking yourself out of a deficit. So you've got that mentality in your head that you're on this diet, quote. And then you're going into this day or meal where it's a cheat. Now, we have no idea how many calories you're having. That could be taking you out of a deficit, not even to maintenance. It could be making you overshoot. So you could actually be in a surplus without even realizing. So that's what I would say in regarding to cheat. Now, let's say that we rephrase it and we say that it's a refeed. Okay, that's a really nice term that I like to use, as a refeed, because it's calculated surplus, right? Or of that day, which still allows you to still think about your goals over the other 6 days of the week and still be in that weekly deficit. With fasting, that's actually quite a clever way of doing things. If it's something that you feel like you're mentally, you feel quite strong about, you feel like you can get through that and you haven't got this sort of like all or nothing mindset, I think it's actually quite helpful. You'll find that people that are actually well versed in their bodies, they're well versed in increasing calories or decreasing calories depending on where they are in the year. They might actually utilize the fast, and the fast can be quite good because all you've done is restrict the eating window that you're eating in. And it could also be that you're taking a meal out. You're having a meal later on in the day. A fast can actually feel, it could feel quite good. And yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's a good way of like saving more calories, if you like, or banking more calories for later on in the day for when you do go out. But again, we have to have that strength in our mindset that we are not going all or nothing where you've been starving the whole day And then as soon as you go, right, I'm ready to eat, you eat everything in sight and you wolf down 4,000 calories in one sitting. That's not what you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's the first time I disagree with you.
Okay.
I just had to say it. Yeah. Because like, you know how you mentioned like you don't like the word or the term cheat meal because it means it sounds like you're cheating on your diet, and then it puts you into the mindset that you're cheating, you might be eating more calories. But the way I see it, I don't really see anything wrong with the term cheat meal. I know like it doesn't appeal to many people. I know that not everyone use this term in the right way. You know, some people, like you say, they're going to cheat and they're going to go crazy and they're going to eat whatever. But the way I see it, I use the term cheat meal. I like it. And the way I see it, it's just like that thing or that meal that you're looking forward to on the weekend with your friends, with your partner, or by yourself, and you're enjoying that thing, that meal. And I personally don't like the idea of fasting the whole day for you to have that refeed or that cheat meal, just because if you do, with my experience and with the experience I have with my clients, what happens is like they're just starving the whole day. And they don't have breakfast, they don't have their snacks, they don't have lunch because they know like, okay, tonight I'm gonna be going to this fancy restaurant and I want to eat everything. So they're starving the whole day. And then by the time they go to the restaurant, they're so hungry that they end up eating more calories because they're like, I'm hungry, I want to eat. And they go into this like crazy mode of like, I want to eat everything. Yeah, that's just how I see it. So like in my opinion, I feel like if you're gonna have your cheat meal or your refeed or whatever you want to call it, that meal out with your friends, I feel like you should eat your meals as usual during the day. Stay hydrated, number one thing. Have your breakfast, have your snacks. If you're not hungry, obviously don't force yourself, but don't stop eating just because you want to save the calories. But it's funny you say that because I feel like everyone has like an opinion, obviously do what works for you. This is just what works for me, but you do what works for you.
I agree. And that's the thing. I take it with a pinch of salt here because I'm not saying that it's for every single person, that you have to be quite well versed. You have to not have that emotional connection to this cheat, if you like. But no, I really do agree with your point, and I like the way that we had a spin on both sides. We both had some really valid points, and I do agree with you. But I think again, it's something I'm sure you can agree with me on, is that it depends from person to person.
Yeah, it does.
But I don't use cheat meals. I don't use that word. But
I use that word cheat meals, and that's a question I asked my clients. I was like, are you guys okay with the term cheat meals, or do you prefer to use something else? And I will say all of them say, yeah, I'm fine, it's just a word. I feel like people just give too much meaning to that word. But yeah, like you say, like it's different person to person.
Yeah.
Just do what's best for you. Just do what works best for you, because only you know yourself better than anyone else. And like you see, like we all have different opinions. Just because this is my opinion, it doesn't mean it's right. It's the right opinion. Just because Richu has this opinion, it doesn't mean it's the only or the right opinion. Just take whatever you want to take and do what's best for you. That's the best thing. I think that's the best advice.
Okay, perfect. All right. So do you want me to add one?
Yeah, if you have one,
cool.
Go.
So how can I not overindulge during the holidays? So how not to overindulge during the holidays? That's the question.
Yeah, I think that's a question that we've been getting quite a lot. I've got quite a few questions about that as well. And I think like something for you to remember is that it's just another month. I feel like, people, when they think about December, Christmas, you already straight away have this mindset of, I'm going to be eating too much. I'm going to be drinking too much. I'm going to be doing too much of everything. If you already have that mindset, then yes, you're going to be doing too much of everything because you're already assuming, you're already predicting what's going to happen. Just relax, chill. It's just another month. Yes, a little bit different because there's more celebrations. There's more gatherings, social gatherings with your friends, with your family. But just relax. Everything is going to be okay. One of the best ways for you to stop indulging or eating too much, number one, is stop worrying too much about the future and just worry about what you're doing right now. Number two, try to keep your routine the same as usual if you can. Try to wake up at the same time. Try to get your workouts done in the morning so you can get them out of the way. Something that I found when I do my workouts in the morning, it just puts you into that mindset that you're ready for the whole day and you just want to stay on track because you already got your workout done. It's a funny thing, but I think it works. So get your workout done in the morning, stick with your routine. try to have the meals that you can as per usual. If you're going out, go to that place, enjoy, eat until you're satisfied, not full. Don't force yourself to eat the things that you don't want to eat. Don't, if people are pressuring you to eat something, to drink something, don't listen to them, because you are the one in control. Don't let them control you. If you don't want to eat that cake, politely say no. If you don't want to drink the alcohol, politely say no. You don't have to say yes to everything. We need to change that mindset. So yeah, just relax. It's going to be okay. Enjoy. I think that's the main thing. Next year, or when you get back to your normal routine, you'll get back to normal. The main thing is just to enjoy, because if you don't, you're constantly going to be thinking about, like, I'm going to put on weight, I'm going to gain so much weight, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And it's not going to let you enjoy anything. You're going to feel so guilty. You're going to feel so upset, and you're not going to enjoy the Christmas season at all.
Yeah.
But what do you think? What are some tips that you will give?
I think, as you've said, try and keep your routine as normal as possible. So I think for the people that are not currently engaged in any fitness program or any, they're not thinking about fitness, they're not thinking about their nutrition, they've tried earlier in the year and they've kind of stopped, and then they, you know, November's come and December's come and they've got, oh my God, I need to just put the brakes on and I should just like forget about everything. Look, I'll attack this in January, right? I think the thing to realize, that's worse. When you put it off, you think that you've got like this free pass to do whatever you want, right? Okay. I say that quite loosely, because when we say whatever you want, it's like you could have that guilty gremlin sitting inside you and kind of going, I'm just going to like close my eyes. I'm just going to like, you know, I'm going to overindulge. I'm just going to like, you know, you could become very attached to this scenario in this area, because something that we've discussed before, Daniela, is how there's always going to be things, events going on throughout the year, and it's how we navigate through those. And it's important to understand, when you've got your friend's hen do, when you've got your cousin's wedding coming up, when you've got your own birthday, when you've got holidays, when you've got all these things are part of normal life, and your fitness and your nutrition should be part of normal life. Like, it shouldn't just be something that you're doing just to get like an aesthetic goal. Like, I get, if you want to lose weight and if you want fat loss, and that's the main goal, and it's the long goal and it's the long game, accept that there is a journey, and that it's not going to happen in 4 weeks. And it's, you know, it's not going to happen between now and January. Between now and January is all about trying to think about the habits that you've built over time. Think about the, you know, the guiding through, almost like the maintenance as well, like thinking about this time to like enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the festivities, but without guilt, because you know you've spent enough time building good, healthy, sustainable habits that will help guide you through this period without guilt. And you'll just flow into January and you just be ready to kick ass come January. But it, you know, right now it's all about maintenance. You know, it's about thinking about those things, like you said, keeping yourself moving, keeping yourself hydrating, staying on top of stuff. And I feel like people who aren't thinking about that, it's very easy to become a bit of a vegetable around Christmas and just think, okay, there's like copious amounts of food, alcohol, telly, I'm just going to put my feet up and just be a bum. And I would say, in terms of overindulging, enjoy what you're having, know when to say yes, when to say no. Think about choosing as well, that you can't, you know, not to say I'm going to have everything, but think about which one you truly want. And then take yourself on a walk. Get out and walk. Help that digestion.
I love what you mentioned. I love how you mentioned that I love how you mentioned that we have to make fitness part of our normal, you know, part of our lifestyle. Like, it's something normal. I feel like, yeah, people keep having this mindset of, whenever I start with my fitness journey, you know, I've done such an amazing work, I don't want to do all the work. You won't, because this is a lifestyle. This is something that you have to keep doing forever. It's not for a short period of time. It's not only to get ready for your wedding or for that event that you're going, or for next year because you're running a marathon or whatever. It has to be something that you do every single day. So we need to normalize being fit, lifting heavy weights, learning how to eat, picking and choosing what to eat, what things to put into your body, what things not to put into your body. Yeah, that's something normal. And something else that I think is gonna go well with this. I had a client yesterday, and she told me, Danny, I'm gonna be going away for almost 3 weeks and a half, almost 4 weeks. And she's really concerned. Like, she mentioned the word concerned a few times on the message. She's like, I'm concerned, I'm feeling overwhelmed. She's like, I did the same thing last year, and I didn't make the best options with the food. I was just indulging, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, first, relax. What happened last year happened last year. Last year, you were not in this journey. Last year, you didn't know how to eat. Now that you know how to eat, now that you're making better choices with your meals, with your training, now that you have this different mindset, things are going to be much better. Because once you know, once you have that feeling of feeling good just by eating healthy, making the right choices, you want that good feeling for the rest of your life. And when you go away and when you go to places that maybe you don't have too much control of the things that you're eating because the food is provided to you, you're going to make better choices, and you're going to eat the things that you want, and you're going to stop eating, when you know when to stop eating. So don't stress too much. Once you learn how to eat, it just becomes easier and better and better and better and better. So just chill, relax. Everything is going to be just fine. I know it's easier for us to say this because we have been doing this for a long time. But we tell you this from our own experience. Like, if you're worrying too much about right now, you're simply not going to enjoy anything. And you're always going to have that feeling of guilt. And that's not going to let you enjoy your life. Don't make the same mistake we made in the past, because we did it for so many years. Don't make that mistake, and just relax, because everything's going to be okay. Okay, let's go with another question. It's similar to what you asked, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Someone asked, I have a few events on next week's. How can I stay on track? I feel like we kind of covered that already.
I think so as well. But staying on track, like, I'm going to take it back to, I did a training with my clients earlier this week, and we talked about calorie banking and about how to adjust your calories for different days. And I think it's really important for days that you are training. It's really important to make sure that you are you're putting more calories there. And maybe the days where you're not having to train so hard, and maybe you're not even moving that much, and because you've got a busy day coming up, almost like saving, I know you don't like this, but saving some calories and being strategic and pre-planning. So pre-planning your meals, knowing what you're going to have throughout the week, having that set, having some room for flexibility. I also think there's a great benefit as well with leaving a little bit of room. If you know that if you track for a couple of days in advance, and you make sure that your proteins are covered in there, that you've got your fats covered, for good hormonal health. And then you can save things like the carbs to have around the training, or days or times when you feel like you need a little bit more of a, I don't know, like a treat or a boost or whatever. So I think there's ways that we can be strategic about this. And the same goes for when you're going out. Obviously, understanding the limits that you have as a person, thinking about, if you are someone that does drink alcohol, knowing that, A, do you want to feel rotten the next day? B, knowing how much alcohol you're going to sort of like, you feel quite happy with, and knowing that you feel good as well with that much, and you're not going to do anything embarrassing. Yeah, because they do happen this time of year, if you kind of go, right, I'm gonna go fuck it, and I'm just gonna do what I want, having that all or nothing mindset, then it could go really wrong and the other way. And I think remind me what the actual question was again, because I feel like I'm diverting.
No, you're going, how can I stay on track? I've got a few events coming up in the next few weeks.
So staying on track then. It's this time of year. This is what's happening. Knowing, again, mindfully thinking about not overindulging. Don't be so scared about it. You've built up habits right now. You've been really consistent with your fitness journey. It's not going to make a massive difference. Make sure you stay hydrated. So I think even if you're drinking alcohol, having a glass of water in between alcoholic drinks is great. And then, just not eating like you're an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Yes, that's a good point. it's just Christmas, guys. Again, it's just another month, a little bit more special, yes, but don't feel like this is your only time or the only window that you have to eat or do whatever you want. And then next year I come back, my New Year's resolution, 2024 is gonna be my year. Make this your year, like finish off this year strong. Don't make yourself feel guilty. Don't make yourself go back to square one just because you wanna eat everything that you see. Like make smart choices. And something that you mentioned about alcohol, I had a client last week. She hasn't been drinking for the past 9 weeks, which she's really proud, and we're really happy about that. And she went to her Christmas party over the weekend, last weekend. And she's like, Danny, I'm so proud of myself. I didn't drink last weekend, but I saw the people around me drinking and I saw them getting really drunk. And I was noticing how stupid they were acting. She's like, I wonder if that's how I act when I get drunk. And that's the thing, like when you don't drink, you don't realize what you're doing. And the next day, if you were way too drunk, you're not even going to remember what happened last night. Is that really, I don't know, like for me, that's not worth it. I don't really want to do something and then forget about it, forget about the whole night. And then next day be like, what happened last night? Like, I don't remember anything.
Or cringe.
Yeah. Yeah, cringe.
Yeah,
Okay.
cringe and regret and worry as well about, oh my God, did I say something silly? And again, like you say, forgetting the good parts, because there could be some really amazing conversations that you could be having with your colleagues if it's a work do. And if you were out of it, you're not going to remember them. And look, I get that some people really enjoy the feeling of alcohol. Okay, they love it. It's a good time. And for some people, it does actually help them with their confidence and open up, especially if they've got that personality who's quite quiet. I get it. But I think it's understanding that, the culture of these things as well is not taking it to an absolute extreme. It doesn't need to happen every time.
And if you're that person that you feel like you need alcohol to make you be a little bit more social or make you step out of your comfort zone, don't just rely on alcohol. Challenge yourself. Make this your challenge. This Christmas party, I'm not going to drink, or I'm just going to have 2 drinks, just to make me feel good. But don't just rely on alcohol to push you out of your comfort zone. Because if you want to be that person, if you want to be more bubbly, if you want to be more friendly, if you want to stop being so shy, you need to change something. You need to challenge yourself. Otherwise, you don't want to be drinking every single time you want to do something. So that's a challenge we have for you guys.
And I've got a funny one to say here, actually, because Daniela and I, we don't know each other. We've never drank to get on a podcast together. No. So I'm sure you can do it when you're in a room full of your colleagues that you work with. Yeah. But no, I get it. Look, it is Christmas and it's, it's what everyone's up to. Right. Shall we talk about another one?
Yeah, I've got a really good question here. Unless you have one you want to ask.
I have one as well. So
okay, you go first, then I'll ask my question.
Should I try and intermittent fast for fat loss? I know it's good for my body overall, but for fat loss, should I try it?
Okay, let me ask you, not Richu, but the person that asked this. Why do you say, or why do you think it's good for your body? Is it because you feel like it's good for your body, or is it because someone told you it's good for your body, so that's what you have in your mind? Because to me, fasting, and I have a really strong opinion about this. Some people, if it's part of your culture, obviously are respected and you have to do it. There's nothing we can change about that. But if you do it by choice, because you feel like this is the best way or the best thing for my body to get rid of all the toxins and for my body to cleanse, fasting is just eating in that short period of time, on that short window that you have to eat. Let's say from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. I have that window to eat something. You are starving yourself the whole day. And I just don't see how that's good for your body. I don't see how that's good for your mind. I just don't get it. I don't get how starving yourself by choice, it's a good thing for your body. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. Remember that fasting, does it work? Yes, it works, just because you're only eating in that short period of time. So you're not really consuming too many calories. So you're pretty much in a caloric deficit. That's the only reason why you lose weight. That's the only reason why you make changes. But it's not because you're starving yourself the whole day. Don't do that to yourself. I don't like this at all. You don't have to suffer to see those results. You don't have to suffer to lose those 2 kgs that you want to lose, or 3 kgs. Make smart choices. You can enjoy foods. You don't have to starve yourself. It's just all about the quantities and how much you eat.
Agreed. It's
Yeah.
the biggest impact is total calories. So again, if we're talking about toning, fat loss, weight loss, we are talking about total calories. However, with intermittent fasting, there could be some potential for helping regulate blood sugar levels, especially if people, have insulin issues, insulin resistance. Again, I think you have to really think about the total day, and you have to think if it's worth it. If you are in a position where your work is so hectic that all you would be doing is snacking and picking just out of boredom, wouldn't it be better to have a big meal and then yes, have an extended period where you are not eating? So technically you are fasting. You could do it I know we typically think of skip breakfast, eat 12 till 8 fasting, but you could do it the other way around. You could go, I'm going to eat 8 o'clock till 4, then I'm going to fast through the evening. So there's so many different ways that you can do it. And I think it all depends on what fits and suits your lifestyle, because somebody that can smash out a massive meal at 8 a.m. in the morning and then just be completely full and sustained for a long period of time, sometimes that's actually really good, and they might not eat till evening. So again, it really does depend. But I think the key thing that I think, Daniela, you're trying to run home here is don't think starvation mindset that, oh my God, I'm just like forcing myself. Some people feel really good and they actually feel quite energized being on a fast and having a fast. They don't look at it as a painful thing. They look at it as an opportunity to almost have a bigger meal at another portion of the day. Maybe. I love smashing out massive meals, just FYI, and I do a little bit of fasting here and there.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, do what works for you. But like you said, like, don't just do it because you have that mindset of, I need to do this. I need to starve myself the whole day, and then I will only eat from this time until this time. If that's the mindset that you have, trust me, you need to change that, because you're not having a good relationship, a healthy relationship with food. But if you're doing the other way around, I like how you mentioned that, like, eat from 8 a.m. until, let's say, 12 p.m. and then fast for the next few hours. That's another way that you can see it. So it's, I guess, like, different approaches. Different ways that you can do the fasting. So just make the smart choices. Make a smart choice. Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah. Again, it depends on your lifestyle, right? It depends on what's required for you. So I think that's really key to think about. And don't do it, as Daniela said, don't do it if it's starvation, and also if somebody told you to, or you read it in a magazine, because that's where people get it from. A lot of the time they had it on Instagram or they saw it in a magazine. Don't do it. And
don't do it. That's the main key point. Don't do it just because you saw it from someone else. Okay, I've got a really good question here. My stress levels are so high at the moment and cravings are too intense. How can I manage my cravings?
Okay. So this is an interesting one, because already we're looking at the trigger for stress, and we're thinking about when people have like a trigger and you're stressed and you go straight for food. It's like you need to almost swap the thing that you go for. You need to swap like the vice, or understand what is it that's making you stress and making you hit straight for food, because we cannot ignore the fact that, yes, a lot of us do have an emotional response to stress, and then our emotional response, is going for food that gives us comfort. It releases endorphins. It makes us feel like happy and satisfied. And, I think there's so many different ways of looking at it. But we need to think about what is it that you are getting stressed about? What other things can we do to replace the mindset of going, if I'm stressed, I'm going to go and eat whatever. Or if I'm stressed, I'm going to take a deep breath in. I'm going to breathe out. I'm going to count backwards from 10, or I'm going to get out for some walk. I'm going to let the wind slap my face and slap some sense into me. You like that one? I said that just for effect. But you're doing something. You're exchanging that association to stress with not food, with something else. And then when we're thinking about cravings, why are you having cravings? Is it salt? Is it sweet? Is it a certain time of the month? Is that what you're crazy? Are you also restricting yourself? Have you got a craving because you are not allowing yourself to have that thing that you enjoy as part of your meal plan? So there's always extra questions we ask with these. What's your take on it?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I just want to talk about the first thing that she mentioned in the question, and it's about stress. I feel like, we need to understand first why we are feeling stressed. Like, what's the thing that's making you stressed? And I believe like the main reason why we feel stressed as humans, it's because our mind is constantly thinking about the future. I can guarantee that you're worrying and stressing about something about the next 2 weeks or the next 4 weeks or the next year and whatever, and you have too many things in your mind, you have too many thoughts running in your mind, you're not living the present moment, you're just stressing, worrying about the future, and that's because you feel stressed. And there are actually 3 types of stress that you may not know about, but I'm going to tell you because I find this so interesting.
Okay.
So we have stress is actually a good thing. It's, it's a way that our body responds, and it's a good thing that we have stress. We have the good stress and then the bad stress. If we didn't have the stress, then we wouldn't be able to react to a situation like a lion chasing you. You wouldn't be able to have those like quick thoughts and like think, climb the tree, do whatever you have to do. So the first time, it's called the EU stress. So the EU stress is actually the good stress. That's the one that we feel when we do a really good workout and you have those like endorphins in your body. You feel like amazing. Maybe you did a new PB, you lifted 100 kgs in your squats and you feel amazing. And that obviously lasts only a very short period of time because you feel amazing for a little bit, but then you go back to normal. So that's the EU stress. And the way that you can have more of this good stress is by pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Because when you push yourself out of your comfort zone, let's say if you're afraid of doing public speaking, before you go on that stage, you're going to feel so nervous. You're going to have that EU stress. You're going to feel like, oh my gosh, my heart is pumping, my heart is racing. I feel like there's so much blood in my body, blah, blah, blah. But once you finish the speech, you're going to feel so good. You're going to feel so amazing. You're going to feel so proud of yourself. So if we want more of the EU stress, push yourself out of your comfort zone. The second type of stress is the hypo stress. So that's the under stimulation stress. So when you have the same routine, or if you've been having the same routine for a very long time, you wake up at the same time. And look, there's nothing wrong with having a routine. We always say have a routine. But when the routine gets too boring and you don't change it up and you don't do anything exciting, that's a hypo stress, because you are just getting used to the same things. You don't have any stimulation. You don't have any excitement in your life. And that's why you lack motivation, because it's the same thing. You don't feel like going to work anymore. It's the same boring thing. You don't feel like going to the gym anymore because you feel like it's the same boring thing. And it's the same thing every single day. You don't have the drive to do anything. You don't have the motivation to do anything. You just don't want to pretty much live with your life because it's the same boring thing. And then the last one is the hyper stress. And that's the one that most of us experience. And that's the one that we feel every single day. That's the one that it's mainly in our mind. It's not too much to do with our environment, but it's mainly the one up here. The one when we're worrying about finances, relationship, work, your kids, your business, all those things that you're worrying about in the future. And I think if you are relying on food to make you feel better, if you don't change that now, you're simply going to keep doing that thing. And you're going to keep running to get that ice cream or those cookies whenever your stress levels are really high, whenever you're worrying about that project or that assignment that is due in 2 weeks. I think a good way for you to manage those cravings and stop relying on food to make you feel better. And I think the best thing that you can do, obviously change that habit with something else. And something that you can try and it works is journaling. Get your pen and paper and write everything down. Because when you write everything down, you're able to put your thoughts together. You're able to write down all the problems that you have. Okay, I have my assignment due. I have this due, blah, blah, blah. When you write everything down and then you read it and you look at it, it's easier for you to manage your life or to manage those problems, because you can see, okay, tomorrow I'm going to worry about this. Wednesday, I'm going to finish this. And you can manage things better. If you try to manage everything just in your mind, that's going to be impossible because you're going to have too many things. It's going to get too messy. But when we journal, not only are you letting those emotions out, but it's easier to control things. So try that. Next time you feel like, oh my gosh, I have too much going on, I want to go get that cookie. Before you run and get that cookie, please sit down, take a few minutes, write everything down, and trust me, I can guarantee that's going to help you so much. But take the time and don't just do it once. Don't just do it after the podcast. It has to be done every single time you are thinking too much and overthinking. But yeah, that's my best advice about how to manage this stress and how to deal with those cravings. Just be consistent with your journaling because it does help. It's one of those things that if you do it, you have to keep doing it. It's not just a one-off thing or like, twice. It has to be done every single time you feel stress. Have you tried journaling?
Yes, I have done actually. And I did it. It was a practice I did when I was going through my own body composition changes for like comp prep and stuff like that. It was a really good way of decreasing my stress actually, and allowing myself to unpack everything. And it's definitely something that like I try and encourage others as well, whether it's my clients or even other people I know. It's just, I think it's a really good thing to do if you find that you are trying to go to sleep, because that's another thing. The stress can affect how you sleep. Before you go to sleep, write everything down, put it on the put it on the paper, put it on the notepad, unpack your brain, load it onto the paper, and then go to sleep. That's it.
Yeah.
Almost thinking of it as being an act of unpacking, unpacking the day, the thoughts are being kicked aside for the moment.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it together. Unpack your brain, put everything down the piece of paper, and then you're gonna be able to sleep better. Yeah, because obviously stress does affect your sleep and affects how you feel, affects your mood, affects how your relationships, affects everything. So
yeah,
unpack everything, guys. That's the game changer.
Okay,
let's go with the next. Yeah, you go.
Again, I feel like these are all so similar, but I think it is, again, this time of year. Any holiday season tips to stay motivated and on top of tracking and training? So again, it's motivation, isn't it? Really? And give us your thoughts.
Yeah, well, number one, motivation. Yeah, you're probably not going to feel motivated during Christmas. One, because your environment, everyone is going to be enjoying Christmas. Maybe the people around you will not prioritize their training or eating healthy. And that if you are in that environment, it's going to be easier for you to be lacking that motivation and maybe to use that as an excuse, because you're going to be like, oh, but my family, they're not doing anything, but my boyfriend is not doing anything, or my girlfriend is not doing anything. Don't rely on them to give you that motivation. You have to stay disciplined with what you do. Motivation, remember, comes and goes, so we keep relying on that, you're never going to get to your goal. If you already committed to this journey, if you already committed to your goal, if you already committed to changing your lifestyle, go all the way. You need to stay consistent. You need to stay committed. Commit to the things that you tell yourself you're going to do. So keep that in mind. And some tips to help you stay on track, like we said before, hydration. Try to keep the same routine as much as you can. Something I will say as well, try to plan your week so you know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly what days you're going to be going to the gym. If you have to make your training session, reduce your training sessions from 5 times a week to 3 times a week, that's fine. But plan that so you know what's happening. So instead of doing shoulders one day, back one day, you can just focus on doing upper body, lower body, upper body. So you can train all the muscle groups, but in a short period of time. Make sure you are being mindful with the things that you're putting into your body and how much you're eating. Because if you're just eating like it's the last day of on earth, you're gonna eat everything. Be mindful of the things that you're putting into your body. Try to always prioritize that protein intake. And the reason why we keep mentioning protein is because remember, protein, it's going to help you to feel fuller for longer. Protein takes longer to digest. So if you have more of that, you won't feel too hungry. If you're just having mainly carbs, mainly refined sugar, your cravings are going to be really high. You're going to feel really hungry and you're going to keep snacking all the time. So yeah, I would say those things will be my main ones. And enjoy the holiday season. Like don't be too hard on yourself. Be kind to yourself and enjoy. Just be mindful. Be mindful. That's the main thing. Be mindful.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah, definitely. And I think also say with the whole thing of staying on track with your training and your tracking and stuff, there are other things that we can do. Like for example, when you are going out, it doesn't have to be all tracking. It can just be a mindful approach. And when it comes to your training, you can adapt things, as Daniela said, like changing your way of training. So not doing different body parts, maybe opting for some full body stuff, or even some upper lower stuff there. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was actually just trying to make getting some steps part of your holiday season. I think, if you've got a partner or a friend or a sibling or someone that you live with, like make it a challenge that you try and get out and walk every day, walk somewhere different, walk a different way round. And, I know that a lot of people take time off during this period. You're not going to be sat the whole time sitting and eating and drinking. You really shouldn't be. You do a little bit of that. You do some catching up. You get out, you take some time off, you have some lions, but you still, a lot of people take time off work. So you have actually got hours in the day to do things for yourselves. Like that's what this is about. And doing something for yourself is training, is keeping on top of that, is keeping on top of those steps as well. So just adapt. Try not to decrease the physical load. Try and think about keeping active during this time.
Yeah, and I think also prioritize your self-care, because you're gonna be so busy with family, with kids if you have kids, with friends, doing the things, Christmas it gets really busy. So just make sure you make time for yourself, because if you're not making that time for yourself, you're simply gonna feel too tired. If you are too tired, you're not gonna make the best choices. If you don't make the best choices, you're gonna feel so guilty. If you feel guilty, you're simply are gonna take a few steps back, because you're gonna feel like, I might as well just go do this. Next year I'll come back on track. So don't do that to yourself. Look after yourself, prioritize yourself. Remember that being selfish is not a bad thing at all. We have to be selfish, and it's good to be selfish because you're the only one that can take care of yourself. Even if your family loves you so much, and there's only so much they can do for you. If you want to be that fun person to be around, if you want to give love to your friends, to your family, to your babies, be that fun person. Take care of yourself, prioritize yourself. I think that's also a really good advice to stay on track with everything. We've got time for one more question.
Yeah, I'd say one more question. Yeah.
Let's go one more. So this one is a completely different one. Someone asked, I cannot push myself until failure. Any tips on this?
They cannot push themselves until failure.
Yeah, so I'm assuming like when they're exercising, maybe like the last sit is like a failure sit, and they're trying to push themselves into failure. Yeah, and they're not able to do that.
I think firstly we need to think about what exercises are they trying to push to failure, and is it something that they're trying to do every single time? Because you really shouldn't train like that every single time. There is definitely some, I always like to think of training in almost like 4 different phases, especially when we're thinking about when to add in. So progressive overload is obviously very important, and training to failure is not the only way to induce muscle gain. It definitely isn't. I mean, it's a great tactic. It's a great way of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to elicit some gains. But I think the key thing is to realize that you don't have to do that all the time. And when I say think about the exercise that you're doing, for example, if you are doing barbell squats, why would you push yourself to failure on a barbell squat? You can't, it's yes, you can, but it's like it's so taxing on your central nervous system as well. And you shouldn't be setting yourself up for that every single time you train. So I think picking and choosing really, and again, have a conversation with your coach about that. Talk about your training and almost like how to break it up into blocks, depending on, if you are a woman as well, depending on your monthly cycle as well. I think it's really important to find out, where you have the ability to do that, whether it's the physical strength, the emotional strength as well, to be able to do that. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think it does, but I think also something else to mention is, if you are, let's say, trying to push yourself in shoulder press, just a random example, and you want to push until failure, that's the only exercise you want to push yourself until failure, and you feel like you're stuck, like you know you can do more reps, but you're just not able to push yourself. I think that's more a mindset thing, because it can be scary to push yourself until failure. It can be scary because some people might think, if I keep pushing, I'm going to injure myself, or they don't like, that burning sensation, or I don't know, maybe something else going on in your brain. So you just have to cross that barrier if you really want to push yourself anti-failure. But like Richu said, like it doesn't have to be for every single exercise, because that's not the way you want to be training for every single exercise, pushing yourself anti-failure. But if it's just 1 or 2 exercises in your program, I will say, when you're doing that exercise, just try to push yourself. If you can get someone, that'll be a little bit more beneficial, so that person can support you in the shoulder press. But if you're training by yourself, you just have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Going until failure is until you can't literally move that weight up anymore. So with the shoulder press, you like literally here and you're not able to push it anymore. And you know when you need to stop. Like, don't push yourself, but don't push yourself to the point that you're gonna get injured, because that's not what we want. The whole point is just crossing that barrier and just doing a few more last reps and then stopping. But yeah, that burning sensation, I know it's not a nice feeling, because you just want to stop as soon as you feel it, but that's sometimes necessary if you really want to fatigue that muscle. So be smart, push yourself. If you can get someone, trust me, that's going to be helpful. If not, you just have to break that barrier in your mind. And a really good thing that helps me when I want to push myself into failure, I make sure to focus on my breathing. By taking like really deep breaths, inhale, exhale all the way out, focusing on my breath kind of like takes the pain away from the muscle and that burning sensation, and I can really push myself, and then stop when I have to stop. So yeah, try breathing, go with someone if you can, and just stop thinking. Yeah, push that barrier in your mind. But I think that's all the questions. I mean, we have more questions, but we don't have enough time to answer all the questions.
No, we don't. But also to add to that, just very quickly, is that I think the key thing is to not sit in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like, you want to try and get out and push yourself. But again, there will be exercises, again, like Daniela said, where you might need a spot. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask someone next to you, like, hey, do you mind spotting me? Push yourself. I know it can be scary. Like, obviously, if you see them busy, don't bother them. But if they're just on their phone texting, like, hey, do you mind spotting me just on my last set? Just help me push to 10 reps, 20 reps, whatever. That can be a good way also for you to push yourself out of your comfort zone, make new friends.
Yeah.
Maybe meet someone that you like, who knows? Get a boyfriend from the gym. But yeah, just push yourself. I think, yeah, push yourself. Push yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yes, perfect. Daniela, that was amazing. Thanks again for the Q&A as well. I think that's great. I think we both had some questions come through, which was really good. Guys, keep sending them through. You can follow Daniela at Daniela Del Carpio. She is DDC Fitness. And
yay, you got it right.
Yay, on Richu Bra. That's spelled RICHUBRAR. I am the girl boss. And we will see you here next time.